Hi everyone, in today's video we are going to be assembling the real grade Sinanju. We are going to see how we got to this stage with its backpack and the Sinanju itself complete. So let's have a look at the assembly process now. We'll begin the on-camera assembly process of the real grade Sinanju by starting off with its backpack unit. Now laid out on the work mat here are various sub-assemblies which I had assembled off camera. The parts are partly painted, some sections have been fully painted, while some are as is the plastic molded parts that originally came with the kit. So we begin the assembly specifically on the rocket thrusters. The metallic parts that you see have been painted in using Mr. Hobby Super Metallic 2 color, whereas the red outer armor and the whites are as is, meaning they are the original plastic parts that came with the kit. I have also panel lined the parts. For example, the metallic parts have been given a black wash, while the white parts have a grey panel lining on them. In addition to this, I have also applied some water decals on the outer armor, the red outer armor, as well as the white pieces of the rocket boosters, which I'll show you later. So that is the rocket thrusters completed. They will be eventually attached to a central piece which will hold all the other pieces together. The central piece I'm holding on with my right hand now. First, I will attach some connector pieces to both sides of this central piece, which will allow the rocket thrusters to then attach to the central piece. So that's the left and right sides done. There is another connector piece which has been painted in a metallic color here. Now this connects onto the rocket thrusters like so. Now let me do it for the other rocket thrusters. These connector pieces are placed onto the rocket thrusters before being attached to the central piece. But before I do that, I'm going to attach the rocket boosters onto the central piece. They are fixed onto the central piece via simple ball joints, so they can rotate in a rough circle. So now let me place the rocket thrusters on either side of the central piece of the backpack unit, starting off with the left rocket thrusters, followed by the right. So this then is the backpack unit for the real grade Sinanju. There are a lot of movable parts, as is the case for most real grade kits. They are fairly complex, which adds a certain kind of realism to them. Rocket boosters, as I've mentioned, are attached via a ball joint. They allow a small degree of movement in a rough circle, but not too much, or they will detach like this. It is a limited degree of movement, but enough for you to do various poses on it. This piece seems to be a bit loose. So just let me reattach it. In general, I found the parts to be loose in some sections, like the one that you see here now, and I'm not sure whether it's part of the design flaw or it just happened to be a situation that's unique to my particular build. But personally for me, I find that this piece that I'm trying to attach back to the rocket thrusters tends to come loose very frequently. I can foresee this will be an issue going forward, especially when I'm trying to pose the Sinanju on an action base. Let me just reattach the outer red armor piece onto the rocket thrusters. I hope they are on tight enough now. Let me reattach the rocket boosters. So now you have the backpack unit for the Sinanju, which I've added water decals, which I'm pointing out using this stick. Here, both white and red water decals, which gives the backpack unit for the real grade Sinanju that little bit added detail, which increases the realism look for the mecha. So that then is the real grade Sinanju's backpack unit. Now that it's fully assembled, let's move on to the Sinanju itself and put together the Sinanju. Let's get started now. Similar to the Sinanju's backpack unit, I have largely put together the sub-assemblies for the limbs, the body, the head and the waist off camera so that I can simplify the on-camera assembly process without the thing dragging on for too long. We'll begin by taking a closer look at the Sinanju's head. The shiny green piece you see in the middle, it's mono eye. These silver metallic parts have been painted while the outer red armor is as is from the kit. So this is its shoulder armor, which I will attach onto the arms later. The white markings you see on the armor are water decals. So this is the body itself. I had to sub-assemble the arms and hands onto the body first to give it the structure integrity that it needed before I can proceed to the rest of the assembly. This is a connector piece between the body and the waist. This is the Sinanju's waist. The gold and silver metallic parts have been painted. The reds are as is, the original plastic molded pieces, whereas the white markings are all water decals. So there's a reasonable amount of movement allowed on the waist. This is the Sinanju's leg. A lot of detailed markings, all done using water decal. There's a great amount of bend that you can do at the knee, and there's a cool gimmick where when you bend the knee, the innards of the leg show. So that's some movement at the foot side to side. These are the rocket veneers attached to the side of his leg. The metallic innards that you see for this side rocket veneers are a combination of painting as well as foil stickers. And as you can see, they can open up quite well, so they give you a lot of options during the posing stage. It's going to be similar for the right leg, so I'm not going to go into that. Now that we have had a closer look, let's begin the on-camera assembly process. First, I'm just going to attach the Sinanju's head onto its body. It's going to be done via a simple ball joint. Now, the degree of movement for the head is rather limited, seeing that there are a lot of collar armor pieces that block the side-to-side movement. But its up and down movement is fairly reasonable. Now I'm going to attach the shoulder armor onto its upper arm. And as always, assembling stuff on camera is always done at an odd angle, which makes it that little bit more difficult to do. I think I figured out the connecting section, so yes, that's it. That's the shoulder armor piece for its right arm. I'm going to do that. Same thing for the left arm. The left shoulder armor piece has a little bit more detail in terms of water decals, but other than that, they are identical. So that's the shoulder armor pieces done. Before I connect the waist onto the torso, I will put this mini connector piece. Based on my research online, this little connector piece here is the bane for a lot of scale modelers because it's a weak point that makes the torso weaker than it should have been. But I guess we'll see for sure when we do a proper review of the Sinanju once it has been fully assembled. Now, similar to the backpack, a lot of pieces seem to have attached rather loosely, so I can see a lot of problems during the posing stage. Now I'm attaching the waist onto its torso. So I'll lift the side skirts up a bit before placing the Sinanju's left leg onto the waist unit. That's the left leg. We'll repeat the process for the right leg. So that's the Sinanju fully assembled. With the on-camera assembly of the Sinanju now complete, I'll just move on to show you all the markings that I've applied onto the outer armor using the water decals that Bandai sold separately. Now, the white markings that you see on the red armor are the water decals that I've applied. They give the Sinanju a little bit more depth to its look so that the outer armor doesn't look so bland. I especially like there's a piece of the Sinanju come loose, and that's the knee armor. Now, this is a notorious part. This part has come loose on me countless times. Unless I glue it in, or perhaps put a small piece of blue tack to stick it on more securely, it's going to give me a lot of problem during the posing stage. I hope I don't have to glue it together, and I'll just see how it goes when I eventually do the posing stage. Now let's get back to the markings. These are the rest of the markings. They are mainly in white. As I said, they give the Sinanju a more detailed look. It makes its red armor that less bland looking, so it looks, for want of a better word, the whole mobile unit looks a bit more busy. Personally, I think it improves on the real grade Sinanju's overall look. Those are the other white markings on the back of the back skirts of the real grade Sinanju. So now let me try to put on, reattach rather, the knee armor for the Sinanju. So that then is the real grade Sinanju fully assembled. Now let's see how the Sinanju itself and its backpack unit come together. With the two main pieces of the Sinanju, meaning the Sinanju itself and its backpack unit fully assembled, we are going to put them together to have a rough overall look at the Sinanju. There goes the knee piece again. So where was I? We are going to have an overall look at how the Sinanju looks with its backpack unit attached. Attaching the backpack onto the back of the Sinanju involves first pushing it into the hole, then sliding the whole backpack unit down so that it attaches onto the Sinanju more securely. As I do this, I just want to say that there are more parts to the Sinanju than what you see here, meaning there are accessories such as the Sinanju's shield, the Sinanju's weapons such as its guns and its beam sabers and heat sabers and stuff, and its more famously its gigantic shield. Those accessories of Sinanju, I will be looking at them in the next part, which is the video following this one. And there's the rocket booster coming loose again. As I'm going to repeat ad nauseum, the Sinanju has a lot of loose parts which will make posing in the future rather difficult. It has a nice cool gimmick at the center of its chest, which is this cockpit opening, but unfortunately there's no seated pilot included. So as I was saying, there's a lot of other accessories to the Sinanju which I will be looking at in the next part, together with a full review of the Sinanju and various poses that it can make. Thank you for watching this video, which is just an assembly process of the Sinanju and its backpack unit. Thanks for watching again and have a great day.